What's up, people? I'm Shaggy, the Opinionated Hippie, with thoughts, a review, a rant about Neil Young's Journey Through the Past, the soundtrack to the movie Journey Through the Past. This came out in 1972. I wasn't originally going to review this, or I was only going to do the studio albums with exceptions as like the next one I'm going to do. Um, but I've decided I'm just going to hit everything as we go through chronologically. So I'm not going to there are live albums from this period that were released later. I'm not going to do those until I'm going to do the release schedule. So this was released after Harvest, before Time Fades Away. So I thought I would share my thoughts on this and maybe save everyone in the world the effort from trying to find it or listen to it or track it down. Because really, except for one track on here, I don't think it's worth the listen. This is a soundtrack album, not in the sense that I saw Fast Times at Ridgemont High and I want to hear the songs that were in that movie. The songs. No, this is like a soundtrack album like Zappa did with Baby Snakes when he released the soundtrack to Baby Snakes. It is the movie. It's not the complete movie, but if there's a song, it is as the song appeared in the movie. So let's say if in the middle of Alabama, we go off into a rehearsal session in the middle of it, yeah, that's just going to happen. And we're not going to get an actually complete, unedited, uninterrupted performance of Alabama. So it's interesting. It's a double LP. It's still like under an hour. It's a pretty short thing, or it's right around an hour. It is a journey through the past. We got Buffalo Springfield stuff. We got Harvest outtakes. We got some live stuff from CSNNY. And then we got a side of music that makes zero sense at all. One new song as far as Neil goes, Soldier. A different version of this would be released eventually on Decade. So you don't need to get this for that. Side one opens up with a television performance of Buffalo Springfield, which has For What It's Worth going into Mr. Soul. Both studio performances, you get like 30 seconds of For What It's Worth before a really weird cut into Neil playing like the beginning of Mr. Soul. And I think it's a slightly different version of Mr. Soul. It's like they've redone it or tweaked it or re-edited it for the sake of this television performance. The whole thing's like 3.5 minutes. Most of it's Mr. Soul. I don't think you need to check it out. Maybe if you're really, really into Mr. Soul, it's a little bit different. But it's weird to hear them like miming a studio performance while the audience cheers as they did back then. Similar performance of Rock and Roll Woman. Find the Cost of Freedom. Though I think the Find the Cost of Freedom is from a live Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young show. You get a live version of Ohio. And then on side two, a live version of Southern Man, which is pretty much edited in half from like the original long version. I'm pretty sure these are all from the same shows that the Four-Way Street performances are. Not a big fan of that album, but the electric side is actually good. And you might want to check that out other than check out these performances. Yeah, it really is a journey through the past. It's like, yes, it is a movie, but it's also in many ways a greatest hits collection with weird edits and weird sequences and interruptions of songs. That you then get I think it's a rehearsal version of Are You Ready for the Country? Might be live, but then right in the middle of it, you get this chorus, this female chorus, and this announcer coming in and they sing Let Me Call You Sweetheart for like a minute. Don't know why that happens. I'm sure in the movie it makes sense. And then they go into Alabama, which also has like them stopping at one point and Neil say, no, you need to do oohs and ahs at this point. And we need to do this. Crosby says something, makes some sort of political statement. We get this choir action come in and we get a little more Alabama. It's kind of all over the map. Maybe in the movie it's entertaining. Listening to it on the soundtrack, it's more frustrating than anything else. The entirety of side three is probably the most interesting thing on here. It is a 15+ minute version of Words, a rehearsal version. Neil interrupts the band a couple times to tell them what to do. Let's do this. Let's hit it hard on these downbeats. But then there's a really long, extended sort of jam. It's pretty low key. It's pretty mellow, but it's also pretty tasty. Neil just kind of extends and kind of jams. Words is a pretty awesome song, so that's cool. It would be nice if we didn't get the interruptions in the rehearsals, but I think overall, out of all the songs on here, Words is by far the most valuable thing. And if you're going to check out just one thing on here, I would recommend you check out Words. The jam is pretty good. It's pretty tasty. It's not epic. I don't think it compares to like any really long, hardcore, like Crazy Horse workouts. But it's kind of tasty and it's kind of neat. I think Words is a pretty good song. And they are performing it pretty well. And those like, hitting those downbeats. I think this is a tour rehearsal. I don't think it's an album rehearsal, but I'm not sure. Either way, it's tasty regardless. And then side 4 is just, what is happening here? You get Neil having a dialogue with like some evangelical guy about the relativity initiation and about being relative to something and discovering Jesus. And at one point, Neil's like, is Jesus the only way to the light? And the guy's like, at least the guy's honest. And he doesn't say yes, but he says, for me it is, which I appreciate. Appreciate the transparency in that. Then we get 2.5-minute version of Handel's Messiah. Yeah. Then we get King of Kings is performed by the Tony and Susan Alamo Christian Foundation Orchestra and Chorus. No idea if they have any connection to San Antonio. Then we get the piano vocal, Neil, the new song Soldier, and then which would be released on Decade in a different version. And I think it's a shorter version on Decade, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's a slightly shorter version on Decade. And then we get an instrumental take, Let's Go Away for a While, of a Beach Boys song. Yeah. Maybe that was in the credits, I think, of the movie. But yeah, it's an hour of weird stuff. Studio Buffalo Springfield tracks with a TV announcer and audience noise. Some songs from CSNY and Live, which you can hear on another album. Some rehearsal stuff that's interrupted by talking. One pretty good jam that's also interrupted by talking, but it's still the highlight. And then a bunch of music that's not Neil related with one Neil song thrown in. I don't recommend it. I don't think you have to listen to it. You got to be a really, really hardcore, I got to hear everything Neil ever did to want to check out this album. It's never been re-released. It's not on CD. I don't believe it's ever been re-released. I don't know why it would be. I don't think it should be. Yeah, interesting. I mean, and really there's an alternate version of Mr. Soul that they, pretending to play too. But I don't think it's a good enough alternate version to warrant wasting your time finding this. Though it is the first track. So that is interesting. So then you can just listen to that and then move on. But yeah, where would I rank this among all the other Neil stuff? It's last. I know what's coming. I don't think there's anything that's going to be below this. Probably shouldn't even rank it because, right, it really isn't a new release album, though there is one new song. But yeah. Those are my thoughts on this. It's very, very, very interesting, but not in a good way. But yeah, I want to cover everything Neil's done. We're going to try to get it all out there on video, my thoughts on it. But yeah, thought I would do this and sort of have a low moment before we get to the first of the 3 Ditch trilogy albums and things get really, really, really good for a while. But that's coming in a couple days. But anyways, that's all I got. Let me know your thoughts on this. Let me know what I'm wrong about, why I should appreciate this more, though don't think that's going to happen. But all those things. That's all I got. Thanks for watching. Peace. Talk to you later.